was that if he saw a winning plan, nothing would distract him from it. So he would just trade off any pieces that were not essential to this plan and just carry it out in a beeline. I mean, he would just, again, go straight for it and not worry about trying to, extract further concessions along the way or maneuver around to see if his opponent might make some further mistakes. No, if he saw the way to win, he would just go for it, and that would be that. And that's exactly what Carlsen does. So he doesn't worry about maintaining a rook on the 7th or, maybe trying to create an attack using all of his pieces. Just happily swaps off and then brings the next rook to A1, where it's going to go to A8 or to A7. So very simple play, but very strong. Correct. Okay, so black played H5 here, taking care of some Luft possibilities. And here on the next move, H4 would make some sense for white to prevent any H4 funny business, but it turns out in Carlsen's advantage or in his favor that he didn't play H4. All right, he plays rook to A8, which is very natural and certainly not bad. King to G7, and now knight to E3. So the knight has almost fulfilled its destiny and completed its pilgrimage to the glorious D5 square. Well, here black is very close to being dead. It's not quite dead, but he's close. And after the next move, it's basically over, as Carlsen's convincing play in the sequel will demonstrate. What I think Tari absolutely had to play was queen to D7 to just chase the white rook. So he's going to go rook A7 next. If the trade happens, black is, well, as happy as he can be in a position where his bishop is pretty awful, but at least he's going to survive a bit. And if white plays rook B8, then you just give chase. The rook goes back to B7. So that was his only chance to keep putting up resistance. Instead of queen to D7, however, he played rook to C7, and now it's just over, and Carlsen can finish things off in a straight line. So knight to D5, rook C8. It's challenging the rook, but not in the necessary way. So rook A7, and the problem is that it's always going to take black a couple of moves to challenge the white rook. So he can go rook to D8 and rook to D7, maybe, but then rook A8, and then he's going to have to move the rook again to try to get it to the 8th rank. And with the knight on D5, that's harder and harder to do. So rook A7, rook to B8, and now very straightforward and nice. In fact, before I say what it is, you might want to pause the video and see if you can figure out, how does white make progress? I mean, everything in white's position is better than it is in black's position, but still, material is equal, and there are no really overt weaknesses, certainly around the black king. So there's pressure everywhere, and white's pieces are fantastic. I mean, the rook is much more active, and the knight, of course, is the pride and joy of white's position. But if we can't figure out how to make progress, it just looks nice, but we're not doing anything. So here's how Carlsen finishes the job. Goes H3. What's so fantastic about this? Well, the idea is to play G4. What's so fantastic about that? Well, the idea is then to play G5. And then to go Queen F6 check, for instance. And then you can see that black is just getting pushed off the board here. May not play Queen F6 straight away, but that's coming. It's one more resource. Another idea might be to play Knight C7, and there could be some tricks with that as well. So a lot of deep problems for black here. But this idea of putting this pawn into G5, just kind of drilling another nail into the coffin around black's king, and black will not be able to survive. And the game ends pretty quickly from here, and again, with just straightforward, logical play by Carlsen. So black played rook to D8, G4, take, and here, after HG, rook to D7. For the moment, he is covering the rank, but there are other problems. White's rook just goes to A8. Now, as I said, G5 is the threat, and here it's an even bigger threat to go G5 and Queen F6, because that's going to win material. Queen takes F6, G takes F6. If black wants to keep the bishop protected, he's got to go king to G8, but then Knight E7 check will finish the job. So that is